was once in a situation where I was doing a big ceremony in Naga 2 years ago, and I was being initiated by a group of a very powerful group of shaman, and the head of their lineage, who was a very old man, offered to give me their entire lineage, and I found myself in a very intense ritual. And then while I was in it, I realised they were also trying to bind me to their path, which meant that I wouldn't have the freedom to have other teachers and to operate in my own way. It was very, very intense. I had fervour and knives and other things placed in my mouth, and a group of shaman around me drumming and doing mantra. And I mentally called to another shaman called Kabita, who's an extraordinarily powerful shaman and very psychic. And I connected to her with my mind. And she came running from the house that was a few hundred yards away. And she couldn't get inside the space because they had a magic circle around us. And she was outside and couldn't reach me. And so I did two things to try and protect myself. And I was really out of my depth, and I'd made the mistake because I was in a dual role of being a practitioner and also filming. And so I knew this was going to be really hot on camera, and I didn't take sufficient precautions with myself. So I found myself in this very difficult situation, very, very dangerous situation. And so I did two things. I connected to the Naga. I have a very strong connection with the Naga. So I sent my energy spiralling down into the ground. And we were on a rocky ridge, which is very largely quartz, and at the top of a hill in Lamjung. And I spiraled down into that and connected my energy to the Naga and called them to assist me. And at the same time I had the feeling of, so that was a way of bringing power that was very, very mobile. So I wanted my energy to be so mobile and fluid that I couldn't be held onto. And then at the other side of it was I allowed my mind to, and my heart, my feeling, to disperse itself into nature. So while this drama was going on around me, and I was quite frightened, I dissolved myself into nature. So I quite literally gave a blessing, a gratitude into everything around me, that everything is my teacher. The leaves, the insects, the trees, the grass, the shaman, the implements, everything was my teacher. So I was giving this very strong counter movement to the binding. And after the ritual finished, I felt absolutely hollowed out. I'm normally very, very rooted and sort of grounded. My energy is very solid. And I felt unrooted and fragmented and quite sick, and I had a whole load of stuff bound around my head, which they had said was very dangerous for me to take off. And I didn't take it off for the first 48 hours. So I then had other shaman friends meditating for me and doing their own rituals. And it was the rainy season, and so it was torrential rain all night. So for the next 4 or 5 days, I sat every night, all night, meditating in the torrential rain in my underpants, just sitting, sinking my energy down into the ground. And my focus of awareness was to send every part of my being into every raindrop. So when you're in a very deep meditation state, you you can become super aware, and your consciousness can do all sorts of absolutely incredible things. So it's possible to send your mind into a type of super slow motion state. So as the thousands of raindrops are touching your body, it's possible to feel every single raindrop individually and to dissolve yourself into that. And I focused on this feeling of mainly bringing my energy into my heart and belly, breathing down, dispersing that energy, spiraling into the ground. So feeling the Naga energy flooding up and cleaning from the inside, and then dispersing and washing with the rain, and giving that feeling of gratitude into the rain and the water also being my teacher. And also connecting this purity of the rainfall with the Naga purity, with the fluidity, with the sense of absolute clarity and awareness. And after about 3 or 4 days, I began to feel much, much better. The heaviness and the sense of being contained was a lot better. And it was a difficult situation because I was in a multiple role. I had 35 shaman there for this ritual. A lot of them were still expecting me to do things and waiting for particular rituals and wanting me to film them. And so during the day I would continue to do that, but I had this continuous feeling of the Nagas circulating through my body with the breath, pulling up on the in-breath and out with the down-breath, connecting to the perineum, actually pulling up with the perineum on every breath, and circulating the energy up the spine and through the palate and down again, and through the soles of the feet. There's a point in the feet called the bubbling spring, which if you do martial arts like Tai Chi and Qigong, you can create a very strong magnetic force with that point in the feet that connects you into the ground, and you can feel the pulse in the ground. That was very, very useful during the earthquakes because you can feel the sort of the micro movements before a quake, and you can feel the electromagnetic change as well through the feet. So actually last night there were some minor earthquakes, so I was sort of aware of that again. So I was continuing that sense of connection with the Naga, connection with the blessing of their strength and clarity and purity, like a type of internal washing and cycling. And there's still a residue, so 2 years later I know that group of shaman can still see me, and I can sometimes still see them. So there's still something to be done with this. I mean, shamanism is actually a much deeper and stranger path than most people realise, and there are many incredible things to learn, but there are also some real risks and some real dangers. And I think if I had had less experience, that it would have been extraordinarily dangerous. But the Nagas really helped me, and I'm forever connected and grateful. So hope you found that interesting. I said a little bit more than I'd expected to say, but do connect to the YouTube channel and let me know if there's anything particular that you'd like me to speak about. Thank you.